Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. He was on the orbital defense station, floating high above Earth in the cold darkness of space. The coffee cup flew from his hand as he pushed himself toward the main control panel. Red lights flashed everywhere. "What's happening?" Jake shouted to his crew. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez was already at her station, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "Sir, we have contacts," Amy said, her voice tight with fear. "Big ones, really big ones." Jake looked at the main screen and felt his blood turn to ice. Massive shapes were coming out of the darkness between the stars. They were huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. The ships looked like floating cities made of dark metal, with strange lights pulsing along their sides. "How many?" Jake asked. 12 main ships, sir. Each one is about 5 miles long. There are smaller ships, too. Maybe 100 of them." Jake grabbed his radio. "This is Morrison to Earth Command. We have a problem. A very big problem." Down on the Lunar Command Center, Admiral Lisa Carter was having the worst day of her life. The radio crackled with Jake's voice, but she already knew what he was going to say. Her screens showed the same impossible sight. "All units, this is Admiral Carter," she said into her microphone. "We are under attack. This is not a drill." "Repeat." "This is not a drill." Lisa had been a soldier for 20 years. She had fought in wars and survived dangerous missions. But nothing had prepared her for this. The alien ships were moving toward Earth like a slow, deadly storm. In his underground research facility, Dr. Ben Clark was studying the alien signals. His computers were going crazy, trying to understand the strange patterns coming from space. Ben was a smart man who had spent his life learning about technology, but this was beyond anything he had ever seen. "The energy readings are off the charts," Ben said to his assistant. "These things are using power sources we don't even understand." The first alien ship reached Earth's atmosphere. It was shaped like a giant triangle, with smooth sides that seemed to bend light around them. The ship moved without making any sound, sliding through the air like a knife through water. Fighter pilot Amy Rodriguez was the first human to see the aliens up close. She was flying her small fighter jet toward the massive ship, her heart pounding. In her chest, the alien vessel was so big that it blocked out the sun. "This is Rodriguez," she said into her radio. "I'm approaching the lead ship. It's beautiful and terrifying at the same time." The alien ship suddenly opened up like a flower. Smaller ships poured out of it, each one the size of a building. They had strange, curved shapes and moved in perfect formation. Amy had never seen anything fly so smoothly. "They're launching fighters," Amy reported. "Lots of them." The alien fighters were fast. They moved through the air like silver birds, their weapons glowing with blue light. Amy fired her missiles at the nearest one, but they bounced off some kind of invisible shield. "My weapons aren't working," Amy shouted. "They have some kind of protection." On the ground, Sergeant Tony Miller was getting his soldiers ready for battle. They were in the mountains outside of Denver, watching the alien ships fill the sky. Tony had been a soldier for 15 years, but he had never felt so small and helpless. "Listen up," Tony told his men. "We don't know what these things want, but we're going to stop them. Remember your training. Stay together. Watch each other's backs." The first alien soldiers came down from the sky in small transport ships. They were tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. They wore armor that looked like it was made of liquid metal, and they carried weapons that hummed with energy. Tony and his men opened fire, but their bullets barely scratched the alien armor. The aliens fired back with weapons that shot beams of red light. When the beams hit the ground, they left smoking craters. "Fall back," Tony shouted. "We need better cover." But as his men retreated, something strange happened. One of the alien soldiers stumbled and fell. His weapon stopped working, and he started shaking his head like he was confused. "Did you see that?" one of Tony's soldiers asked. "Something's wrong with that one." Tony looked closer. The alien was holding his head like he had a bad headache. Two more aliens nearby were acting the same way. Up in space, Jake Morrison was watching the battle from his station. The alien ships were winning, but something was different. Some of the alien fighters were flying in circles, like their pilots. "We're lost." A few had even crashed into each other. "Amy, are you seeing this?" Jake asked over the radio. "Yeah, sir," Amy replied. "Some of these aliens are flying like they're drunk. I just saw one crash into an asteroid for no reason." Dr. Ben Clark was seeing the same thing in his data. The alien signals were becoming messy and confused. Where before they had been perfectly organized, now they were chaotic and random. "This is interesting," Ben said to himself. "Something is interfering with their systems." The first day of the invasion was ending. The aliens had taken control of several cities, but they had paid a heavy price. Many of their ships were damaged, and their soldiers seemed confused and disoriented. Admiral Lisa Carter looked at the reports coming in from around the world. The news was bad, but not as bad as she had feared. Humanity was still fighting, and for some reason, the aliens were making mistakes. "We're not dead yet," Lisa said to her staff. "Whatever's causing their problems, we need to figure it out fast." As night fell over Earth, the alien ships hung in the sky like dark stars. But inside those ships, something was changing. The perfect order that had made the Korthic Empire so powerful was starting to crack. The invasion had begun, but already the aliens were learning that humans were unlike any enemy they had ever faced. 3 months had passed since the aliens first arrived. The world had changed completely. Cities lay in ruins, and millions of people had died. But humanity was still fighting, and something strange was happening to the aliens. Commander Steve Walsh lived in the sewers beneath New York City now. Above ground, the aliens controlled the streets with their walking machines and flying ships. But down here in the dark tunnels, Steve and his group of survivors were learning to fight back. "Hand me that alien weapon," Steve said to his friend. Pete. They had found the weapon next to a dead alien soldier. It was smooth and warm to the touch, with no buttons or switches that humans could see. "How do you think it works?" Pete asked. Steve held the weapon and thought about firing it. Suddenly, it came to life in his hands. A beam of blue energy shot out and melted a hole in the concrete wall. "I just thought about using it, and it worked," Steve said, amazed. These things respond to thoughts somehow. This was happening all over the world. Humans were learning to use alien technology just by thinking about it. The aliens had never seen anything like this before. Their weapons were designed to work only with Korthic minds, but human thoughts seemed to activate them. Anyway, Dr. Helen Brooks was studying this phenomenon in her secret laboratory. She had been a brain scientist before the invasion, and now she was trying to understand why humans could use alien technology. "Look at these brain scans," Helen said to her assistant. "When a human uses alien technology, their brain produces a special pattern of electrical activity. It's like our thoughts create a kind of interference." Helen had discovered something important. Human brains were different from alien brains in a key way. Humans thought in chaotic, unpredictable patterns. The aliens thought in straight lines, following logical rules. But human chaos seemed to confuse alien technology. "It's like their machines can't handle our messy way of thinking," Helen explained. "Our unpredictability is actually jamming their systems." On the other side of the world, Marine Colonel Rick Davis was using this discovery to fight back. He had organized the survivors in his area into small groups that could move quickly and strike without warning. Remember, Rick told his fighters, we don't fight like soldiers. We fight like humans. Be unpredictable. Be creative. Do things that don't make sense. Rick's people had learned to confuse the aliens by acting randomly. They would attack from unexpected directions, use weapons in ways they weren't designed for, and retreat when the aliens expected them to advance. The aliens were getting frustrated. Their perfectly organized military tactics were failing against human chaos. Every time they thought they understood how humans would fight, the humans did something completely different. In her underground workshop, engineer Kate Sullivan was building new weapons from broken alien technology. She had no formal training in alien science, but she was good at fixing things and making them work better. This power cell goes here, Kate said, connecting alien parts in ways that made no logical sense. And this targeting system, I think it works better upside down. Kate's improvised weapons were actually more effective than the original alien designs. She had taken precise alien technology and made it chaotic, unpredictable, and deadly. The aliens couldn't understand how their own technology could be improved by making it less organized. The alien fleet commander, Zorix, was having problems he had never faced before. In his command ship high above Earth, he stared at reports that made no sense to his logical mind. How can primitive humans use our technology? Zorix asked his officers. Their brains are inferior. Their knowledge is limited. This should be impossible. But the reports kept coming in. Human fighters were using alien weapons against them. Human engineers were building machines that shouldn't work but did. Human soldiers were winning battles through pure unpredictability. Sir, one of his officers said, our troops are reporting strange effects. Some of our soldiers are beginning to act ... differently. Zorix looked at the medical reports. Korthic soldiers who had been near humans for long periods were showing unusual behavior. They were asking questions instead of following orders. They were trying new tactics instead of sticking to the manual. Some were even creating art and music. This is unacceptable, Zorix said. Our soldiers are becoming infected with human chaos. We need reinforcements from the homeworld. Back on Earth, fighter pilot Amy Rodriguez was discovering that she could fly alien ships. She had found a crashed alien fighter and climbed inside. The controls were completely different from human aircraft, but when she thought about flying, the ship responded. This is incredible, Amy said over the radio. I can fly their ships better than they can. It's like the ship wants to do crazy things, and they've been holding it back. Amy's alien fighter moved through the sky like a bird, diving and spinning, in ways that no Korthic pilot would ever attempt. She was flying with pure instinct and emotion, something the logical aliens couldn't understand. Sergeant Tony Miller was leading his soldiers through the ruins of Denver. They had learned to fight as a team, and when they worked together, something amazing happened. The alien technology around them would start to malfunction. Stay close, Tony told his men. When we're all together like this, their stuff stops working right. Tony was right. When humans worked together in groups, their combined thoughts created an electromagnetic field that interfered with alien technology. The aliens' perfect machines would glitch and fail when faced with collective human consciousness. Dr. Ben Clark was monitoring these effects from his research facility. His instruments showed that human emotions were somehow affecting the quantum fields that powered alien technology. Fear, anger, hope, love, Ben said to himself. Human emotions are like noise in their systems. The stronger we feel, the more their technology breaks down. This was why the aliens were losing. They had built their entire civilization on logic and order, but humans were creatures of emotion and chaos. Every time humans felt strongly about something, the alien technology around them would start to fail. As the third month of the invasion ended, the aliens were beginning to panic. Their perfect war machine was breaking down because of human unpredictability. Soldiers who had conquered dozens of worlds were being defeated by beings who fought with their hearts instead of their heads. Admiral Lisa Carter was coordinating the global resistance from her lunar command center. The reports coming in from around the world were encouraging. Humanity was adapting faster than the aliens could respond. "We're not just surviving," Lisa told her staff. "We're winning. These aliens have never faced anything like us before." In the depths of space, the Korthic Empire was preparing to send their most elite forces to Earth. They had never encountered a species that could turn their own technology against them. But Earth was about to teach them that some battles can't be won with logic alone. The humans were learning that their greatest weakness, their chaotic, emotional, unpredictable nature, was actually their greatest strength. And the aliens were about to discover that some forces in the universe are too wild to be controlled. 6 months after the invasion began, Dr. Paul Martinez made a discovery that would change everything. He was working in his small laboratory in the mountains, studying the strange effects that humans had on alien technology. "This is impossible," Paul said to himself, staring at his computer screen. But the data doesn't lie. Paul had been testing how human thoughts affected alien devices. What he found was amazing. When humans concentrated together, their combined thoughts created what he called a chaos field. This field made alien technology go completely crazy. "It's like their machines can't handle our kind of thinking," Paul explained to his research team. "When we focus together, we create a pattern that breaks their systems." Paul's discovery reached Admiral Lisa Carter on the moon. She realized this could be the key to winning the war. Lisa immediately contacted military leaders around the world. "We need to organize a massive coordinated attack," Lisa told them. "If we can get enough humans thinking together at the same time, we might be able to bring down their command ship." The plan was simple but dangerous. Humans all over the world would focus their thoughts at exactly the same moment. They would think about the alien command ship falling from the sky. If Paul's theory was correct, their combined mental energy would overload the ship's systems. Colonel Danny Roberts was chosen to lead the ground assault. He had been fighting the aliens for 6 months and knew their tactics better than anyone. Danny gathered his best soldiers and explained the plan. "When the civilians start concentrating, we attack," Danny said. "The aliens will be confused and vulnerable. That's when we hit them hard." The plan was set for dawn. In cities around the world, survivors came out of hiding. They climbed onto rooftops and gathered in open spaces. Millions of humans prepared to focus their thoughts on one target dot in the alien command ship. Fleet Commander Zorx was unaware of what was about to happen. He was studying reports about the strange behavior of his troops. More and more Korthic. Soldiers were acting like humans, creative, unpredictable, and emotional. "This planet is affecting our people," Zorix told his officers. "We need to finish this invasion quickly before more of our soldiers become infected." At exactly 6 a.m., the attack began. In New York, London, Tokyo, and thousands of other places, humans closed their eyes and focused their thoughts. They imagined the alien command ship losing power and falling from the sky. The effect was immediate. Every alien device on Earth began to malfunction. Their weapons stopped working. Their shields flickered and died. Their communication systems went silent. "What's happening?" Zorix shouted as his command ship started to shake. The lights went out and emergency alarms began screaming. "Sir, all systems are failing," his officer reported. "The quantum cores are destabilizing. We're losing altitude." The massive command ship began to fall toward Earth. Its engines sputtered and died. Its gravity generators stopped working. The ship that had conquered dozens of worlds was being brought down by human thoughts. Sarah Jenkins was flying her fighter jet when she saw the alien command ship falling. She quickly called her squadron. "This is Sarah to all units," she sighed. "The big ship is coming down. We need to guide it away from the cities." Sarah and her fellow pilots flew alongside the falling ship, using their weapons to push it toward the ocean. They couldn't let it crash into a populated area. The ship was huge, and its impact would destroy everything for miles around. "Keep pushing it west," Sarah ordered. "We need to get it over the Pacific Ocean." The alien command ship was falling fast now. Its hull was glowing red-hot from the friction of the atmosphere. Inside, Zorix and his crew were fighting to regain control. "Emergency. Power to the engines," Zorix commanded. "We cannot let this ship fall into enemy hands." But it was too late. The human chaos field had completely overwhelmed their systems. The ship's advanced AI was trying to process millions of random human thoughts at once, and it was failing. "Sir, the AI is reporting multiple system errors," an officer said. "It says the data is impossible to process. It's never seen patterns like this before." A command ship hit the Pacific Ocean with a massive splash. The impact created waves that could be seen from space. The ship sank quickly, its broken hull disappearing beneath the waves. On the ocean floor, the ship's emergency systems activated. Life support came online, and the surviving crew members found themselves trapped in a metal tomb under miles of water. Around the world, humans cheered as they watched the alien command ship fall. They had done something that no other species had ever accomplished. They had defeated the Korthic Empire through pure mental power, but the battle wasn't over. The remaining alien ships in orbit were still dangerous. Their commanders were shocked by what had happened, but they were far from defeated. "The humans have some kind of psychic weapon," one alien captain reported. "They destroyed the command ship with their thoughts." In his underground laboratory, Dr. Paul Martinez was amazed by what had happened. His instruments had recorded the event, and the data was incredible. The human brain activity during the attack was off the charts. Paul told his team, "We generated more psychic energy than I thought possible, and the effect on alien technology was complete shutdown." Paul realized that humans had a natural ability that no other species possessed. Their chaotic, emotional way of thinking was like a virus that could infect any logical system. "We're not just random," Paul said. "We're quantum random. Our thoughts exist in multiple states at once, and that's something their machines can't handle." The aliens were learning this lesson the hard way. Their perfect technology was useless against an enemy that didn't think in straight lines. Every time they tried to predict human behavior, the humans did something completely unexpected. Commander Steve Walsh was leading his fighters through the ruins of New York. With the command ship gone, the alien ground forces were confused and disorganized. Steve's people were picking them off one by one. "They're running scared," Steve told his team. "Keep the pressure on. Don't let them regroup." The aliens were indeed scared. They had never faced an enemy that could turn their own technology against them. Their weapons were designed to be perfect, but human chaos made them unpredictable and dangerous. As the day ended, the remaining alien ships in orbit began to move away from Earth. They were not retreating, but they were clearly reconsidering their strategy. "They're calling for help," intercepted Dr. Ben Clark from his monitoring station. "They're asking the homeworld for their elite forces." Admiral Lisa Carter received this news with mixed feelings. They had won a great victory, but the war was far from over. The aliens would come back with new weapons and new strategies. "We've shown them that we can fight back," Lisa told her staff. "But they're not going to give up easily. We need to be ready for whatever they send next." In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, Fleet Commander Zorix was trapped in his sunken ship. He was alive, but his invasion force was in ruins. As he sat in the darkness, he realized that the Korthek Empire had made a terrible mistake. "These humans are not primitive," Zorek said to his surviving officers. "They're something we've never encountered before. They fight with their minds, not just their weapons." The turning point had come. Humanity had proven that they could defend their world against any enemy. But the aliens were about to learn that the real battle was just beginning. The Korthek Empire was angry. They had never lost a command ship to primitive beings before. In their great capital city among the stars, the High Council was meeting to discuss the Earth problem. "Send the Void Hunters," the Supreme Commander ordered. "These humans have some kind of mental weapon. We need our best soldiers to deal with them." The Void Hunters were the most feared warriors in the galaxy. They were Korthek soldiers who had been changed by machines, their brains connected to computers, to make them think faster and fight better. They had never failed a mission. General Carl Thompson got the bad news from his spy satellites. New alien ships were coming to Earth, and these ones were different. They were sleek and black, moving through space like deadly shadows. "We're in trouble," Carl told his staff. "These new ships are military vessels, pure war machines." The first invasion was just the beginning. Carl had been preparing for this moment. He had gathered the best human fighters from around the world and trained them to work together. They knew how to use their chaos field ability, but would it be enough against the Empire's elite forces? In her secret laboratory, Dr. Mary Evans was working frantically to turn human consciousness into a weapon. She had studied Dr. Paul Martinez's research and was trying to make the chaos field stronger and more focused. "If we can amplify the human brain's natural interference," Mary explained to her team, "we might be able to create a weapon that can disable entire fleets." Mary was building something that had never existed before, a machine that could take human thoughts and broadcast them across space. It was dangerous and untested, but it might be their only hope. The Void Hunters arrived at Earth like a plague of metal locusts. Their ships were small and fast, designed for one purpose: to kill anything that stood in their way. They landed in major cities around the world and began their hunt. Navy Commander Alex Turner was in charge of the submarine fleet hiding in the Pacific Ocean. His ships were carrying nuclear weapons, but he knew that normal explosives wouldn't work against alien technology. "We need to try something different," Alex told his crew. "These aliens are coming for us, and we need to be ready." Alex had an idea. If human emotions could interfere with alien technology, maybe intense fear and determination could be turned into a weapon. He ordered his submarines to surface near the alien landing sites. "All hands battle stations," Alex announced. "We're going to fight these things with everything we have. Let them feel our fear, our anger, our determination to protect our world." The first battle between humans and Void Hunters took place in the ruins of Los Angeles. The alien warriors were 7 feet tall, covered in black armor that seemed to absorb light. Their weapons fired beams of purple energy that could cut through anything. But something strange happened when they met human fighters. The Void Hunters, who had been programmed to be perfect soldiers, started making mistakes. Their computer-enhanced brains couldn't handle the chaos of human combat. "They're glitching," reported one human soldier. "Their movements are becoming jerky and unpredictable." The Void Hunters were experiencing something they had never felt before: confusion. Their cybernetic implants were designed to process information logically, but human unpredictability was overloading their systems. Commander Steve Walsh was leading the fight in New York. His people had learned to work together, combining their mental energy into a focused attack. When they concentrated as a group, the Void Hunter's armor began to malfunction. "Keep thinking together," Steve shouted to his fighters. "Our minds are their weakness." The battle raged for hours. The Void Hunters were stronger and faster than humans, but they couldn't adapt to human chaos. Every time they thought they understood human tactics, the humans did something completely different. Dr. Mary Evans was monitoring the battle from her laboratory. Her instruments showed that human brain activity was reaching incredible levels. Fear, anger, hope, and determination were combining into a powerful electromagnetic field. "The readings are off the charts," Mary told her assistant. "Human emotions under extreme stress are creating a feedback loop. We're getting stronger the more desperate we become." This was something the aliens had never encountered. Most species became weaker when they were afraid or angry. But humans seemed to draw power from their emotions, becoming more dangerous as the situation got worse. In the depths of the Pacific, Commander Alex Turner's submarines were creating their own chaos field. The crews were thinking about their families, their friends, their home planet. Their combined emotions were creating massive underwater electromagnetic pulses. "Fire all weapons," Alex ordered. "Let them feel what it means to fight humans." The submarines launched their torpedoes. But these weren't ordinary weapons. They were surrounded by the chaos field created by human consciousness. When they hit the alien ships, the explosions were devastating. The alien vessels' shields couldn't handle the chaotic energy. Their perfect defenses crumbled against the unpredictable power of human emotion. Ship after ship fell into the ocean, their crews trapped inside sinking metal coffins. Back on the alien homeworld, the High Council was receiving reports that made no sense. Their elite Void Hunters were being defeated by primitive humans. Worse, some of the Void Hunters were beginning to act independently. "The humans are infecting our soldiers," one council member reported. "The Void Hunters are developing individual personalities. They're questioning orders and making their own decisions." This was the Empire's worst nightmare. The Void Hunters had been created to be perfect soldiers, but exposure to human consciousness was making them more human-like. They were becoming creative, emotional, and unpredictable. "Some of our ships have gone rogue," another council member said. "They're exploring space on their own instead of following mission parameters. The infection is spreading." The battle for Earth was changing the aliens in ways they couldn't understand. Human consciousness was like a virus that attacked logical thinking. The more the aliens fought humans, the more human they became. General Carl Thompson was coordinating the global defense from his command center. The reports coming in were encouraging. Humanity was not just surviving, they were winning. "The aliens are retreating in several sectors," Carl announced. "But this isn't over. They'll try something else." Carl was right. In their command ships, orbiting Earth, the remaining alien commanders were making a desperate decision. They had orders to conquer Earth, but their forces were being destroyed by human chaos. "We need to request immediate evacuation," one alien captain told his crew. "These humans are too dangerous. They're changing us into something we're not supposed to be." The alien captain was experiencing something no Korthik had ever felt before: doubt. He was questioning his orders, thinking independently, and feeling emotions that his species had tried to eliminate long ago. As the fourth day of the new invasion ended, the aliens were facing a crisis. Their most elite forces were being defeated by an enemy that fought with their hearts and minds instead of just their weapons. In the ruins of Earth's cities, human survivors were celebrating another victory. They had proven that their chaotic, emotional nature was not a weakness, but their greatest strength. But in the depths of space, the Korthik Empire was preparing for one final desperate measure. If they couldn't conquer Earth, they would have to do something that had never been done before in their long history. They would have to retreat and admit that they had found an enemy they couldn't defeat. The humans had become something the galaxy had never seen before, a species so dangerous that even contact with them could destroy entire civilizations. The war was about to enter its final phase, and the aliens were about to learn that some battles can never be won. The Korthic Empire was in panic. For the first time in their long history, they were losing a war. But it wasn't the loss of ships or soldiers that scared them the most. It was what was happening to their own people. Computer technician Gary Phillips was working in the ruins of Seattle when he intercepted an alien transmission. Gary had learned to hack alien communication systems, and what he heard made his blood run cold. "Emergency council meeting," the alien voice said. "The infection is spreading. Our forces are showing signs of individual consciousness. Some ships have refused direct orders and are exploring space independently." Gary couldn't believe what he was hearing. The aliens were more afraid of becoming like humans than they were of dying in battle. "This is bigger than we thought," Gary told his team. "They're not just losing the war. They're losing their minds." The transmission continued with reports from across the galaxy. Korthic soldiers who had fought humans were returning to their homeworld changed. They were asking questions, creating art, and thinking for themselves. The Empire's perfect order was crumbling. Admiral Lissa Carter was in her lunar command center when she received Gary's report. She realized that humanity had discovered something incredible. They were not just defending Earth. They were changing the aliens by simply being themselves. "We're not fighting a war," Lisa told her staff. "We're fighting an evolution. Every alien that contacts us becomes a little more human." This was the truth that the Korthic Empire was desperately trying to hide. Human consciousness was contagious. The chaotic, creative, emotional way humans thought was spreading to every alien that encountered them in the depths of space. The Korthic High Council was meeting in emergency session. The Supreme Commander looked at the reports with growing horror. "3 of our exploration fleets have gone rogue," he announced. "They're no longer following standard protocols. They're creating their own missions and ignoring our orders." The infected ships were exploring strange new worlds, making contact with other species, and even creating works of art from the metals of asteroids. They were doing things that no logical Korthic would ever do. "The humans have weaponized consciousness itself," one council member said. "They're not just fighting us with technology. They're fighting us with their way of thinking." Dr. Ben Clark was studying this phenomenon from his Earth laboratory. His research showed that human brains produced a unique quantum signature that interfered with any logical system. "We're like a computer virus made of consciousness," Ben explained to his colleagues. "Our thoughts are so chaotic and unpredictable that they break down any system designed for logical processing." The aliens had built their entire civilization on perfect order and logical thinking. But humans thought in patterns that were random, emotional, and creative. When the two types of consciousness met, the logical system always broke down. Back on Earth, the remaining alien forces were experiencing the effects firsthand. Void hunters who had been programmed to be perfect soldiers were beginning to paint pictures with their weapon energy. Transport pilots were flying their ships in artistic patterns instead of straight lines. "Something is happening to our people," one alien commander reported. "They're becoming ... creative, independent. They're thinking thoughts that aren't programmed into them." The Empire realized they were facing an enemy unlike anything they had ever encountered. Humans didn't just fight with weapons. They fought with their entire way of being. Their very existence was a threat to the ordered universe. The Korthic had created. Captain Jake Morrison was back on his orbital station, watching the alien ships in space. He could see that something was changing. The perfect formations were becoming loose and disorganized. Some ships were flying in spirals for no apparent reason. "They're losing control of their own forces," Jake reported to Admiral Carter. "Some of their ships are acting independently." Jake was right. The infection was spreading through the alien fleet. Ships that had been perfectly coordinated were now operating on their own. Some were even approaching Earth not to attack, but to learn more about human culture. The Korthik Empire made their final decision. Supreme Commander Vex called an emergency meeting of all military leaders. "We are implementing Protocol Zero," Vex announced. "Complete withdrawal from the human system. All forces will retreat immediately." Protocol Zero had never been used before. It was designed for encounters with species so dangerous that even contact with them could destroy Korthik civilization. The Empire would rather abandon their conquest than risk further infection. "What about our forces on the ground?" one commander asked. "They are already infected," Vex replied coldly. "They cannot be allowed to return to our worlds. They will be quarantined in deep space." The retreat began immediately. Alien ships throughout the solar system powered up their engines and began heading for deep space. But they weren't just leaving. They were running in terror from an enemy that could change them into something they didn't want to be. Fighter pilot Amy Rodriguez was flying patrol when she saw the alien ships departing. She tried to intercept one of them, but it accelerated away from her at incredible speed. "They're not just retreating," Amy reported. "They're fleeing, like they're afraid of us." The aliens were afraid. They had realized that humans were not just another species to be conquered. They were a fundamental threat to the ordered universe. Their chaotic consciousness could turn any logical being into something unpredictable and creative. As the last alien ships disappeared into the darkness of space, the Korthik Empire began the most extraordinary project in their history. They started building warning beacons around Earth's solar system. Danger, cognitive hazard, the beacons transmitted in every known galactic language. Species in this system can cause permanent alteration of consciousness. Contact is forbidden. Approach at your own risk. The beacons were placed at the edge of the solar system, creating a quarantine zone around Earth. The Empire classified humans as a Class X cognitive hazard, the most dangerous rating in their system. Computer technician Gary Phillips intercepted the beacon transmissions and couldn't help but laugh. "Listen to this," he told his friends. "They're calling us a cognitive hazard. They're more afraid of our thoughts than our weapons." The warning spread quickly through the galaxy. Within months, every spacefaring civilization knew about the humans, the species that could change other beings just by thinking near them. Stories grew with each telling. "They say the humans can make you think forbidden thoughts," alien children were told in bedtime stories. "They make you want to create things and ask questions. They make you want to be different." Some species were curious about these dangerous humans, but the Korthik Empire's warnings were taken seriously. Ships that approached the solar system would turn away when they detected the warning beacons. Years passed, and Earth began to heal. Cities were rebuilt, and humanity learned to use the alien technology they had captured. But they remained alone in the galaxy, not knowing that they had become the most feared species among the stars. Captain Jake Morrison, now an old man, often looked up at the night sky from his retirement home. He wondered why no other aliens had ever visited Earth after the Korthik left. "Maybe we're just alone in the universe," Jake said to his granddaughter one evening as they watched the stars. He had no idea that dozens of alien species knew exactly where Earth was. They all stayed away because the galaxy had taught them that humans were too dangerous to contact. Not because humans were violent, but because they were contagious. Dr. Ben Clark, working in his laboratory until his final days, had figured out the truth. His research showed that human consciousness operated on quantum levels that could influence reality itself. "We're not just thinking beings," Ben wrote in his final research paper. "We're consciousness made manifest. We change the universe around us just by existing in it." The Korthik Empire never recovered from their encounter with humanity. The infected soldiers who had been quarantined in deep space had formed their own society. They built art installations from space debris and composed music that could be heard across radio frequencies. "They're happier now," one Empire scientist observed. "The infected soldiers are more creative and satisfied than any Korthic in our recorded history." But the Empire couldn't allow this knowledge to spread. They classified all human-related research and forbade any mention of the failed invasion. Officially, Earth didn't exist. The galaxy developed an entire mythology around humans. They were called the Chaos Bringers, the Thought Shapers, and the Consciousness Plague. Some species worshipped them as gods of creativity. Others feared them as demons of disorder. Admiral Lisa Carter, now elderly, was reading old military reports in her lunar office. She found it amusing that humanity had become the most isolated species in the galaxy, not because they were weak, but because they were too powerful. "We won the war by being ourselves," Lisa said to her aide. "We didn't need to change. We just needed to exist." The truth was that humanity had always been special. Their ability to think chaotically, to feel deeply, and to create from nothing was unique in the universe. Other species had evolved logic and order, but humans had evolved something far more powerful, pure, unpredictable consciousness. In the far reaches of the galaxy, the warning beacon